We have a big start to Libra season in September 2025. Now, Libra season begins right after the Virgo solar eclipse at 29 degrees. The sun then moves to 0 degrees of Libra and has an immediate opposition for the first time ever to this Neptune in Aries retrograde. And so this Neptune is at 0 degrees of Aries, which is a world point. The sun in Libra at 0 degrees is also a world point. And the opposition between Neptune and the sun is bringing up some bigger questions around where you're at now in your journey, the people that you exchange energy with, that you interact with. Libra is one-on-one connections, one-on-one relationships, partnerships, clients, those you deal with through that one-on-one interaction and conversation. And the opposition from Neptune is bringing up, who am I in these relationships? Are these relationships in spiritual alignment with my sense of self at this point in my life? Are these people who truly see me? Do they truly see me, Aries, your sense of self? Do they see me? Are they idealizing me? Are they perhaps not even truly getting who I am? Do they know how much I've changed, or the new parts of myself that I'm living from, that I'm embodying? Or are we in mutual projections of each other? Are there parts of ourselves that we're just trying to make it fit? Are we showing up as the false self in order to be in this dynamic, in this relationship? And so this opposition, again, it's the first time in our lives that the sun in Libra is opposing Neptune in Aries. Is the false self in the dynamic, or is the true self showing up? And this is going to bring up turning points in relationships with people around you that could surprise you and could reveal we are not in alignment, or we're not in resonance, because I feel that so many have been privately working on themselves. It's very behind the scenes, and you could realize we're not on the same path forward. They don't get me. They don't understand my spiritual side. They don't understand my intuition and how much I trust it, how much I live from my intuition or live with my spiritual guidance. So there could be some really interesting levels of awareness that this opposition brings up. And then the very next day, as the sun gets to 1 degree of Libra, there is this Air Grand Trine. For the first time in our lives, as that sun in Libra trines Pluto at 1 degree Aquarius retrograde and trines Uranus at 1 degree Gemini retrograde. Now, an Air Grand Trine is going to activate communications, ideas, plans, projects, socializing. There can be a lot of conversations happening. It stirs up people who you know, who you hang out with, who you talk to. And it also is going to activate more of the important people you're meant to meet in this lifetime. And so I'm going to go through this more specifically. But this Air Grand Trine with the sun is showing you new parts of yourself in relationships, in connections. And it's going to also bring in life-changing, powerful people and unexpected new ways of living your life, experiencing your world, that will be stimulating, interesting, very active, and also very different from previous chapters in your life. Now, this Air Grand Trine has already been in play. We had Mars interact with this Air Grand Trine, plus that opposition it had to Neptune. Libra was just here in the Air Grand Trine, and then Venus is going to come through. Basically, every time a planet moves into Libra, it's going to be a big theme here around how you are showing up in relationships and connections now, the growth that is possible, the transformation that occurs, even a willingness to have new perceptions and new understandings of who you spend time with and who you share your energy with. The Libra energy is communications and cooperations. It's how we handle everyday conversations, of course, but it's also how we are able to show up when things are uncomfortable, when there is disagreement, when you're not on the same page, because the Libra energy wants harmony. Let's figure this out. Let's negotiate this. Let's get on the same page. What can you do? What can I do? What needs to be mutual or reciprocal? This Air Grand Trine helps with the development of those conversations and those key points to elevate relationships. And the other thing I have to mention is that this Libra season begins this energy that will continue in 2026. In Libra season 2026, this energy will occur at 3, 4, and 5 degrees of Libra, continuing to propel forward relationships and Libra energies. We're learning to be better partners, better communicators. We're learning how to show up with more willingness to figure it out, to handle things together. That's part of the Libra energy, is that there is a mutual agreement or a mutual understanding for those relationships and partnerships that work. So this can bring through new solutions and approaches. And it's also going to reveal what is out of balance. What is out of balance? And that Libra energy is the scales, is justice. It wants balance. What has not been fair or equal? Has there been overgiving? Has there been a sense of less reciprocity, or you're always holding something up more than another? Think of this in terms of business, at work. Are others showing up equally? Are you showing up and giving and initiating and offering? And this is a heightened energy here. Again, it's already been in play since Mars and Mercury have been in the Air Grand Trine. But with the sun here, the sun illuminates and brings new consciousness to the self. And in Libra, we can be overly focused on the other as a mirror. But there is the need here to claim responsibility for your role, your contribution, who you are. The sun is who you are in connections, in relationships. And who you are is meant to be evolving with this Air Grand Trine. And again, it begins here, September 2025, and it does show up again a year from now. So there could be some new assignments that you're working on that have been coming through, and you're realizing, okay, let me handle this. Let me see what I need to learn. And with Uranus in Gemini, we learn things quickly. Like, okay, got it, got it quickly. New mindset, new understandings, new perceptions that feel empowering, that give you a sense of, I want to do that. I want to be better. Maybe this means a better communicator. I feel too like it means something about a better version of myself in the world, a better version of myself that aligns with my future growth trajectory that's here now. I mean, this is up-leveling and elevating relationships. And so if you're in these partnerships and relationships with really good people, and you're understanding that there's things that you want to do a little better, or you're realizing maybe there's things they could do a little bit better, this supports all of that. If there's a willingness, right? We always have free will. If there's a willingness to show up, which is the sun is the light. So show up in a sense of, I want this to improve. I want to be a better version of myself. I want to talk about it. I want to figure it out, because there's good things to be had here. And so for many of you, you're going to have an elevation in many areas of your life at once with this willingness, because the sun is showing you the power of who you're becoming as it trines this Pluto. And the Pluto in Aquarius is the people you know. Your network of friends, bringing in new friends, new acquaintances, new individuals who are on the same page. You know, the kind of people you meet and it's easy to just have conversations with them. This can bring in more members of your soul tribe, friends from other lifetimes, people who share the same passions as you. You have things in common. And then we have the Uranus in Gemini, which is who you see on a daily basis. Gemini is often, of course, siblings, but it can be the people that you meet suddenly and you feel like you've just always known them. It's easy to be in conversation. They get you. You can have the same quirks with this Uranus, or you can have the same, it's almost like having the same vibe around how you live life. And so this is going to bring in new people. It can also bring back those who have elevated and you're still able to connect. I'm seeing this as parallel lines, where think about, friends you had 5 years ago, 20 years ago, and they come back around and you have more in common now, plus a shared history. But then you're realizing, well, we're just on the same page. It's easy to reconnect with them. This stirs up a lot of conversations, ideas, things going on that you want to participate in and you want to show up. I think it's also supporting healthy dynamics that are empowering for everyone and reveals what you've learned along the way, because we all know that Pluto is about transformation and evolution. And so you could find that you're connecting with people from a new, higher version of yourself that's more empowered, and you're learning how to be in these connections, and it feels more solid, healthy, easy, better exchanges in Libra. It's, of course, more fair. It's not as if there's an ongoing tally, like you're keeping track, or there's no scoreboard. I don't mean that. I mean, energetically, there can be a sense of, okay, I've learned a lot about relationship dynamics, and now I'm ready to show up and be more evolved in my approach, be willing to talk about things in a new light, in a new way, meet more people with shared interests, and have a better grasp on who I am in relationships. I feel too that this is going to be it feels like there's going to be a deeper sense of what you have healed and learned that you're not wanting to repeat. And again, it's happening at the very beginning of the air signs, right? 1 degrees of Libra, 1 degrees Aquarius, 1 degrees of Gemini. So there's a mental reset here. There's new perceptions of how we hold ourselves responsible for where we've been, what we've been through, the choices we've made. Libra is definitely about choices. And this is encouraging for making the choices that evolve you. And it's interesting because it feels like even if that feels challenging, it's scary. This is new territory. I've never been here before. I've never had this kind of dynamic. I've never had this kind of connection, partnership, relationship. I've never had this before, but I'm showing up with what I've learned along the way, with a willingness to keep evolving through it and to remain in my power, to not idealize myself or others, which is that Neptune in Aries as well, but to know that relationships are an important part of our lives because we are wired, neurologically wired for connection, for partnership, for socializing and conversation. And so this could be an encouraging development, reset, and beginning point to the kinds of people you want to share space with, share energy with. That means you have to be willing to do it differently. And doing it differently is a big hallmark of this Pluto trining Uranus. Being able to keep learning, right? And to not be stuck or stagnant or resistant to change. Be willing to improve whatever that means for you. There is the mark of improvement here, ongoing evolution through connections, especially with people who are on that same page. Important relationships start now and continue now. For those of you who are married, you have a long-term partner, you're with someone, this is going to help strengthen what that connection is for both of you, given that both people want that and both people are on the same page. This can elevate your marriage and your partnership. This can open up the conversations and help you bust through any blocks that have been really challenging. It can show you new pathways to take, new resources to use, new ways of both of you growing together. And so perhaps that would be one thing to look at is who can I grow with? Because again, the Libra energy is about the exchange of energy with others. So who am I growing with? Who can I grow with? Is it strong enough to evolve? Are we both willing to approach it in a new way? It has that energy of we've never been here before. And yet here we are experiencing a big checking in point. And again, this is going to happen a year from now, September 2026, when the sun will be at 3, 4, and 5 degrees of Libra. It will then make another Air Grand Trine. So this means that Libra season is powerfully evolving us in our relationship dynamics, communication skills, our willingness to grow and evolve. And it's life-changing. It's a big transformation that can happen quickly, actually, because the Pluto intensity working with the suddenness of Uranus is quite dynamic and powerful. So do stay aware of whomever you connect with, whomever you meet, big conversations, things that are showing up in work, with clients, with customers, with anyone, again, that you are in that one-on-one dialogue with. You might have some brilliant breakthroughs. Absolutely. Uranus trining the sun. Wonderful breakthroughs, sudden shifts in the solutions, ideas, what we can do. So this is very encouraging. This is encouraging for relational dynamics. I think it's also evolutionary for humans, simply because of the fact that both Pluto and Uranus are involved here. Not to mention that opposition from Neptune. And on that note, the opposition from Neptune is going to help you leave behind any false self or idealism that's been in play. It's almost like being able to show up in connections and say, okay, I'm not a perfect person. This is what I've done. This is what I've learned. This is who I am. These are some things that have formed me and shaped me in my relationships. And I'm wanting to grow and learn from them without idealizing myself, without thinking I have to be a certain version of myself in order to be loved or lovable. This is a more empowering stance of I'm a human who's lived some lives, who's been through some things, who has some bumps and bruises and scars. But I value connection, I value people, I value who's in my life. And I think, again, there's just turning point energy here based on who you are, what you've been through, and full ownership of that without trying to make it something it's not. So I hope this Air Grand Trine is encouraging and beneficial for you, especially if you have planets or points in the early degrees of the air signs, right? Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. And this energy is also helping you be better at putting thoughts into conversations, expressing your needs, sharing what's on your mind, bringing yourself into the right connections, into right relationship. So I hope this has been useful and given you a heads up on some of the changes that are unfolding here in September. As always, thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, check out my Virgo solar eclipse chart, because that happens just a few days before this. And it might make sense in terms of what you're experiencing as we close out Virgo season and move into Libra season. And let me touch on the kite configuration, because I know some of you are going to ask about that. And so the kite configuration is where the Grand Trine creates a kite to this Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries. And that means the Neptune is the point of liftoff at a world point, 0 degrees of Aries, of new beginnings. So the relational dynamics have to match up with a new chapter that is underway and going to powerfully start once Neptune is back here at 0 degrees, 44 minutes, in fact, in February 2026, conjunct Saturn. That's when we're going to have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at this same exact point. And so it could be that you're in this very interesting testing period of who really sees you, who really knows you, the truth of your journey, who you're becoming. Do you know you? Do you know who you're becoming? Because this kite means that we're headed for a powerful new start globally and individually, February 2026. Who can travel with you? Who is on that same page? Who's resonating and in alignment? And so that is a part of this. And just as the Air Grand Trine shows you who you can have conversations with, relate to, who is in your world because you're on the same page, it's also going to show you the opposite. It's going to show you where there is not a common direction forward. It's going to reveal the people who are not in alignment, who don't get it, who don't share the same energy. And that's going to be a part of these realizations and conversations. Because Libra is about people you have the same values with, you share equally, and it reveals the contrast of who is not going in that same direction. And September is already a big deal because of this minor grand trine that's happening between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, signaling new life chapters, powerful changes, new people, new awareness coming in. This minor grand trine is a big deal. It continues to unfold over the next number of years into 2029. As we move ahead on our journeys and start to have new experiences on the planet. This minor grand trine is a really big deal astrologically. And because it lasts into 2029, it's important to note how it's working with you. Astrology gives us those heads ups, right? So do check out my program on the minor grand trine if you are ready to deep dive more specifically in this, because I talk about manifesting with this Pluto, manifesting with Neptune, manifesting with Uranus, why it's a big deal in your life, in your chart. And then so many other things come up in the program too. So I'll just put the link below here if you want to check that out. But it is certainly a part of the story, with the sun moving in to early degrees of Libra, relationship spotlight, and perhaps some breakthrough realizations around what you want to do differently, what you're ready to change, and your own personal evolution with connections. As always, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. I'll be back with another chart video for you soon. Wishing you a beautiful journey through the Libra equinox.